Oh my God, broads, here we are. Bekah, hi.
Just another week I was going to say paradise.
I'm like, well,
Just another week here.
just another week sitting
Where we've
here,
been.
being all sorts of remote, nothing's really new to report. And another week where we're not having a Thursday episode that is reality TV.
I think we got so much good feedback from our episode last week, and I'm glad you all enjoyed it. And we're going to keep that non-reality TV content coming to you on Thursdays.
Yes.
So prepare yourselves.
Yes, we are. And I am so excited because definitely reached out to this individual because I've been wanting to have her on the podcast. We would like to introduce Mystic Michaela, aka Megan.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. I'm such a fan, so this is truly an honor. Thank you
my
for
God. We're so excited.
I have so many questions, so.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, bring them. I love it.
Okay, well, first of all, what is it exactly that you do, and how does it separate you from other people who work in the mystic realm?
Yeah. So I see colors around people, which always that's what I do. And it's the aura, because we all have an energy around us, and I just see it in color. And basically what it does is it's my way through spirit of helping people streamline their most authentic life. So
so do you physically see colors around people,
Yeah,
or is it
I
more of
do.
a vibe?
I really physically see it. The thing is I see it with my third eye, but I'm so used to incorporating. It's like a kid, you know what I mean? They don't lose that, and or they have that, but they'll lose it. I feel like I've never lost it, so I can see it, and it looks real to me. But I know it's not the same as seeing other things, you know what I mean? But I can see it just like I see what color shirt you're wearing, I can see what color aura you have.
Have you had this since you were a child? When did this start happening for you?
I've never known life without it. So it's kind of like smelling or something, it's I've never known life without it. But I never knew what it was good for. That took time. Understanding oh my God, this is supposed to be for helping people live their most authentic life. Because people will wear colors that aren't theirs, or they'll hide themselves, or you can feel it in vibes, anything I say in color, but it's just a way to explain it in color to people. That's what I do.
Oh, so you mean people can shift their aura and it not be them authentically?
Yes.
Oh,
This is
but you can
thing.
sense that it's an inauthentic color.
Yeah.
Oh,
right. So
interesting.
Just like you guys watch, The Bachelor, is I go crazy over that stuff because when you were on it, obviously, I go crazy over that stuff because I'll be oh my God, she's wearing this inauthentic color, or she's trying to do this, or she's trying to do that, and it drives me insane. And but I'll listen to you guys. You were just doing Love Is Blind, and you were talking about Jessica, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And just how she's one way or the other. She says one thing and then freaks out and does another thing. I'm that you are talking about yellow and purple, that combo. So it drives me insane when I watch reality TV because I'll see this stuff play out, and it's so in color. And that's how I'll explain it to people so they can kind of get a better grasp, if that makes sense.
Interesting. Wow. When did you start to be able to sort of harness this power and then utilize it to help people and to be able to articulate what each color meant and all that sort of thing? When were your skills developed?
Yeah, so I've always seen colors. When I'm a teacher. Actually, I was a teacher, and before I started doing this full time, I was a Spanish teacher for middle school children, and I was oh, wait a second, colors mean something. Greens learn this way and reds learn this way. So I would use it to help the kids learn Spanish, which is funny. But then,
oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so I would do all these games, and I don't know. It was my own secret thing. It was oh my gosh, this is where it really freaked me out is during the parent-teacher conferences, because the parents would come in, and it was holy hell, that's where there's inauthentic colors. That's where it's oh my God, the kid is this way because the mom needs them to be all this imprinting and stuff, and I would just see it in color.
So when you're saying this piece about the parents,
yeah.
So if, let's just say, I'm just gonna throw out a random color because I don't know, but if a mom is purple, Is there a tendency that purple moms are like, I want a red child? Like that's kind of what's going to be like fit into my energy better. And then it's going to be a challenge to not try to change your kid's color.
Yeah, so purple moms, and I'll explain all this because you guys are both purple, but you're different purples. But purple people definitely don't care. They're like, my kid's my kid, they're individuals on their own journey. So they're usually not the problem. So the problem be like the mom that wears a lot of blue, because blue people tend to be pleasers. So let's say like they need their kid, like the mom comes in and they need their kid to do better than the kid's doing or something. It's like, listen, like your kid's struggling and they can't handle it because all of a sudden you just told them they're a bad mother. Like
it's reflecting upon them. Yeah.
Okay. Oh wow, that's
so like
interesting.
So is this sort of what it kind of sounds like is just kind of like an energetic personality type?
Totally.
In a way.
That's exactly what it is. Yes. And you,
okay.
And you don't have to see colors. Like there's like a vibe to each color.
Right.
But like, it's funny because I try to categorize it so it's easy. There's like 5 main colors and I try to attack, I teach people this stuff too. So I'm like, okay, like, that's so red or that's so yellow. And the people that kind of follow me are like, oh my God, I'm so yellow, or it just helps you understand yourself better. So you can make like more cohesive choices, if that makes sense.
Yes. Okay. My question is, are there any other people that you've met who see the same kinds of colors or see like auras in the same way that you do?
So kids, honestly, usually see colors. Like if you ask, especially the younger the better, like they will see them. And I always agree. I think there's other people that say they do. See, I haven't met any other aura reader that does it the way I do it. It's truly to like live your most authentic life, like work, career, relationships. Like I try to make it for your life. But I know, like, if you go to the aura photography place, they're like, oh, you're passionate, and it's like, it's like more than that, it's like, what job do you need? And like this and that. So I think other people will assign different colors or something to different things that I don't see, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Are those aura photography, those booths, are those accurate? Is that like more of a energetically how you are in the moment versus your overall?
You got it. Yeah.
Okay.
Like they will pick up where you're at like now, but the problem is if you're wearing like an inauthentic color, like it'll pop up in those photos, and then you don't know it's not yours. Like you're just absorbing it or whatever. For most people, it works, but sometimes like there is a subset of people who take on other people's energy like way too much, and so like when I see an aura photo, sometimes it really stresses me out because it's like that's not you, that's what you're absorbing. So like. It depends, like if they're with somebody or something's going on in their life or like whatever, they're absorbing colors that aren't there, or energies or vibes or situations that are not theirs to control, but they own it. That's basically what that is. But I see that, color and color representations.
Will people change like their authentic aura throughout their lifetime ever?
The balance of it, how they wear it, like how deep it is, that'll change, but not the color itself. The only thing that changes is like we pick up and put down inauthentic aura colors a lot, like some more than others. But the balance and like the amount will change.
Interesting.
Wow. Okay, Broads, we have to pause for 1 second before we dive into more auras, our auras, Bachelor, Bachelorette auras. So fun. I wanted to say this. You may be at home right now with a partner, which is great. But if you're not, or actually even if you are, and you just need some time apart, let's be honest, we all do, you may find yourself participating in more self-love than usual. And we celebrate that. We also have the perfect addition for your self-love routine or your partnered love routine, and it is O-Shot from Omax. Broads, you know how much we love O-Shot, and you better believe Mama has been using a lot of O-Shot these days as a fun little stress reliever that I can go and have a little space and time alone. Loving my O-Shot. O-Shot is the best and only arousal lubricant you're ever going to want to use again. Seriously, Broads, try it now. Thank us later. The best part about O-Shot, aside from the obvious, is it's completely natural. If you've used an arousal lubricant before, a lot of times they just have that one ingredient that's used to stimulate arousal, and typically it's an artificial ingredient, and it almost always has a smell or taste that's not very pleasant because it's full of chemicals. O-Shot is completely the opposite of that. It's using 8 natural botanicals plus full spectrum CBD to increase relaxation and circulation. What is not to love? And Becca and I have preached about the fact that O-Shot is the arousal lubricant that doesn't have any irritation or cause us any irritation. We're obsessed. Trust us, O-Shot increases sensitivity, it heightens arousal, it improves circulation, and increases sexual comfort. Super easy to use. All you have to do is gently apply 3 or 4 pumps of oil onto your intimate areas, and a tingling sensation will ignite immediately and continue for the next 30 to 60 minutes. It's a must-try for partner love and, of course, self-love. You really can't go wrong. And also, side note, it tastes really good. So that's a fun added bonus. And it's TSA compliant, so I will be taking this on my travels as soon as that's an option. But in the meantime, I am all snuggled up with my O-Shot at home. So whether you're single or looking to spice up your relationship with more satisfying sex, everyone can benefit from a more enjoyable orgasmic experience. Omax's O-Shot comes to the rescue and produces heightened sexual sensations, which can give you the instant and long-lasting satisfaction you've been looking for, and it's 100% safe and natural. Just go to omaxhealth.com today and enter the code CHATTY to get 20% off O-Shot and all other Omax products site-wide. Amazing deal. Again, that's OMAX Health, omaxhealth.com, and enter code CHATTY to get 20% off your entire order.
Okay, can we get into the colors
Yes!
and could you also, as you're talking about the colors,
Yeah.
maybe give, before you dive into like reading ours, could you give examples like from The Bachelor of
Oh my God.
people who were a strong example of that color?
Okay, I'm like terrible. We have to go. All right, so let's say Hannah Brown, just because like everybody talks about Hannah Brown. Okay, so like,
Okay.
it's easy. When she was on Colton's season, she was so freaking blue, and there was something wrong with her, and it was driving me insane. And I feel like she was like, I wanted to like dig through her and be like, stop lying to yourself. She was wearing inauthentic blue. That's inauthentic blue. I feel like she wasn't sure of who she was or whatever. But then on her own season, it was like this crack of purple coming through. So blue, just to reflect, blue's like, and it's fine to be blue. Like it means authentically, if you're blue, it means you're an empath or you pick up other people's feelings as your own. If you're wearing it inauthentically, you care way too much what other people think. So back to when she was on her own season, I saw all this like purple crack through, and that's who she really is. But it looked all messy because she was, figuring herself out, So that was her. But I feel like that's when we all were like, oh my gosh, I like her or whatever, or like she feels real, or at least she's being herself, or like whatever. And she was working it out, you know what I mean? And so that was her authentic purple coming through. So that's kind of like one example.
Interesting.
Okay.
Interesting.
How many colors are there?
There's
of
5.
main colors?
There's 5 main colors. Like Ari, for example, from your season, like he was red and purple. So
okay, it's so funny that you bring this up because I went and scrolled back in your feed last night to find the reading that you did for me, and you said that he was red when like a bunch of the past bachelors had been green. So can you talk about that, about like his aura, and then how that differed from a trend that we were seeing in the bachelors prior?
It's so annoying. They always pick green bachelors. Like I'm annoyed. And I think
is that like Ben and Colton? Are they like examples of like green people?
Yes, and Peter, like they're all flipping green, and I think it's just because they have like this like I'm a gentleman, and it's like come on, it's like
wait. So what is green? What is the green aura then?
There's nothing wrong with being green, okay? But like the greens they choose are like because listen, we all can do the fake thing, you know what I mean? But some better than others. It's just that sometimes the green people they choose are so concerned with how they're projecting their image that it comes across as like, what are you hiding from us? And then I think they don't even know themselves after a while. There's such a distance because green people naturally have a tendency to see how everyone sees them, like global perspective. And then they live in that, like they live in how they look on paper. basically.
Mm.
So a lot of these bachelors, they get like live for how they look on paper. And then when it comes time to pick somebody, they always pick like the blonde. I don't even know. Like just the one.
most predictable choice.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like the one that said everything like correctly and never had issues or anything with them. And then they pick her and then they live happily ever. It seems like that's just the thing. You know, like she said everything correctly on paper. So we belong together on paper. You know, so Ari was red and they never pick red. Some red women they picked, but Ari was like, I can't remember the last red bachelor. But he's red purple. So he like I feel like he would like I mean, you know him, Bekah, not me, but like I feel like with him, like when I was watching, it's like it was so hard for him, I feel like, to keep it together that this is being filmed or whatever, because he would be like, I feel like he would go into moments of authenticity and then like super pull back or like whatever. So I get there was like, here I am 100%, and then I'm gonna like put the wall back up or what. So it feels like it was like back and forth. But red purple's a tough combo with people because it's kind of like logic, but also like an artistic mindset, like red purple. But yeah, but he was different, and I think that's why he had a different ending than a lot of people, because he chose something on paper, the safe choice or whatever, and then he like freaked out and did the other thing. So
right, sort of the battle between like logic and passion, and then
yes.
ultimately is like, oh, I'm not being true to my heart, but I have to.
Yeah.
But maybe the difference is between him and someone else is that he had the courage to then ultimately go after what he did want,
and he didn't like give a crap. Like he's just like, I'm just gonna do it. And red and purple people both have that mindset, like where they don't care. Whereas like green people are way more private. They do not want to have those things out loud.
So how did that play into, did you mention that Peter was green?
Peter's green and blue. He doesn't even like, I feel like he doesn't really know who he is, but then we all saw the mom and we were like, okay, we get it, and then like,
I have questions later about Barb. That's the one that
Barb.
Is she purple?
Barb's purple and blue, but she's so she's got like this like I'm not a therapist at all, and I do not diagnose people, but she feels so narcissistic to me. The thing is, it's like we're all mothers, you know what I mean? We all have opinions about what our children do. Like we all have it. Like that's fine. It's just that she had to make it so much about her. That was like the weird thing. And then like you saw like everybody was so concerned with pleasing her constantly. And again, it was like Peter had to live all the time on paper. I have this thing with sometimes with green people, they're either under nurtured or over nurtured as children.
Oh, interesting.
And he like him being over in a way, but it's funny because like the extreme will cause the same reaction, meaning other people's opinions are more important than my own. So it's like living constantly because he's blue too, for the approval of other people and never hitting it inside himself. It must have just been
how did that play out with the end? How did that play out with the ending though? Then him like leaving Hannah Ann and then half getting back with Maddie and then with Kelly. Like, how does that play into this maybe like archetype of green and blue?
I feel like he has no idea who he is or what he wants, and he goes back to sexual chemistry in order to feel authentic, and that's Kelly. Like, I feel like that was like they had that felt real to him. I feel like that's where he can feel connected to people in that realm. Maybe that's the most authentic way he can be, or that's real, the most real
that makes
thing.
sense.
Yeah.
And so he couldn't live outside of that so much. And so Kelly gets it. Like she's not, I don't think she's asking for too much beyond that. So.
Okay. So we've covered a little bit of green, blue, purple. What are the other ones? Yellow?
Yellow's tough. There's a lot of yellow women, not so many yellow men. Like, who is yellow on the back? Oh, like the new one. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so bad with names. Who's the next Bachelorette? She's yellow.
Oh, Claire.
Claire. She's yellow and pink, which is a weird color. That's very rare. So yellow people. Okay. So it's a bad example of yellow people are usually very organized. They're very together. They're kind of like what they want to do is very straightforward. But then she's pink. Now, pink people have this fairy tale thing going on. So I think we've seen, it's funny, like they pick somebody older. So they're like, oh, we're going to go mature. Like that's our direction for this season.
But she's living in a dream.
Yes!
Yeah.
it's happening to like a 38-year-old instead of like a 24-year-old. So it's just I'm excited for that season though, because I think it's going to be like a 38-year-old like, dealing with, it's going to be the same thing. I really feel that way.
Yeah,
just,
that's
like,
so
older
funny.
people.
It's so funny you say that because Bekah and I have been talking where it's like, everyone's like, no, we don't know her. She's older. Is she going to da-da-da? And it's like, no. It feels like it will feel like this younger organic piece. And so that totally makes sense that there's that fairy tale like peeking through with her in pink.
You're picking it up. Yeah, that's what it is. It's just like, because pinks kind of do this thing like where they're like caged birds a little bit, like they're a little bit sheltered, or they come off as naive or things like that. And everything's like rose colored glasses a little bit. So I think she's going to get disappointed a lot and then like react. And we're going to be like, didn't you see that coming? Like, she's going to be like, no, I'm pink. So but she's yellow. So like she comes, I think she can pick, or that Jessica from Love is Blind. She's very yellow. And every time she tries to do something on the show where like she knows she wants, this is what I want, here's my list, I need this, this, and this in my mate or whatever. And then she goes and I call them purple bombs. Then she goes purple bombs it. Like all of a sudden she's like, never mind, we can't do this. Like, never mind, I want this instead. Never mind, I'm not attracted to you sexually. Like she'll freak out on him out of nowhere. But you were saying all these things so it's like she wants it to be a certain way, but like she can't do it emotionally. So that's yellow. Like they have a list, they have a plan.
Got it. But her purple side couldn't help exploding every once in a while and being like, but I don't want you to touch me. So that's like a hard no.
Exactly. But you're short. Yeah.
That's not a check.
Okay, wait. So do we have blue, purple, yellow, pink, green, and then is that it?
Yeah, there's yellow, purple, pink, blue, and green. And then pink was like extra. That's like our extra. I'm trying to think of another yellow person from The Bachelor. I mean, there's so many. It's like hard. I'm bad with names from, yeah.
So what are some of the most common colors and then like the most common combinations, and what are sort of like the archetypes, just if you're going to throw out some words like for each color really quickly of like what the archetype of each one.
Yeah, so purples are artistic, a little spontaneous, free thinkers, cannot handle a 9-to-5 schedule. Blues they're your healers, they're like your nurses, medical professionals, teachers, stuff like that. They do care what other people think because they want to help them. So it's a trap they can get into, but they're really good people. Yellows, they're like your accountants, they're directors, they're kind of producers a lot of times are yellow. Things like that. They have a plan and they keep it in motion, with scaffolding it. They're usually very busy and curious and stuff. They ask a lot of questions. Green people are techie. They're very logical. They're smart. They're super smart. They like have engineer brains. Usually you see them doing stuff in any of those fields. CEOs, again, like producers, but more like behind the scenes, like big guy producers like that. Versus the yellows seem to work with people. And then reds, they're like your entrepreneurs, small business owners. They're like firemen, policemen, like fire ladies, police ladies, all that. Like they're red people. They have like leadership energy. You see them in sales a lot, like that kind of stuff. Okay. So that's like each color. Yeah. Usually you get an empath color, like purple or blue, with like a red or a green. Like, usually you get like a soft color with a harder color. Like as a combo.
In couples? Or as a personality
most people have two combos. Most people have two auras. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So what's one of the most common auras, and then what's one of the most rare? You said pink already was rare.
Pink's so rare. I mean, they're all, like greens do not travel in packs. They're very loners. So they're around. It's just you never kind of see them together. But like for me, maybe just because the work I do, I always see purples and blues and indigos, which is.
Do you think that purple's more common on reality TV?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like because purples don't mind the limelight a little bit, like they don't mind like attention. And that's not a bad thing. I talk about purple shaming a lot. Like we're supposed to be ashamed that we want people to listen to us or something. And that's like in our culture, we get purple shamed a lot. Especially women.
Right, because there's something wrong with craving attention.
Yes.
I know people always say that, like, you're just looking for attention. It's like, well,
like
yes.
Sure.
Yes. And then when you own it, then they kind of go away, you know? The second you get defensive about it, they're like, you know, fame whore or like whatever they say. And that's like purple shaming stuff, attention seeking behavior. You're so dramatic, or like that's stuff a lot of purples hear growing up. It's always about you, you know, stuff like that. And it's really just.
And you're like, yes, bitch.
Like,
it is. Thank you for recognizing.
Welcome to my world.
Well, you just made me think of in the Enneagram, I think I read somewhere that the Enneagram 3 is the most common type in reality TV because they're sort of like willing to shapeshift to be successful or to like achieve what they want to achieve. And so it sort of reminds me of, it's kind of a similar thing with
They're flexible. Aura. It's funny because I have one of my clients, because I have a Facebook group, she made us all do the Enneagrams, and then she spreadsheeted it because that's what yellow people do. Yeah, and it's so funny because I screenshotted it because I'm like, I wonder if they'll bring that up. And what number did you say?
I said 3 and 4. 3
and 4.
Yeah, 2, 3, and 4 were the most common for the purples. Which is funny. Like the highest percentage.
That's really funny.
There we go. There's that crossover. Yeah. Oh, so interesting. Okay, so what do you actually do? I'm guessing, do you work on with clients one-on-one? Or what does this look like in your professional practice?
So when I do a reading, I had to coin my own term because, like, you know, people call me a psychic because they understand that, which I get. But, like, I really align more with what I made up myself, which is called spiritual life guidance. It's just like, it's more about me helping you see yourself, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not, you know, it's just like, let's just show you. I think that's really hard to do sometimes, see our own very hidden patterns and agreements from our programming as children and society and stuff like that. And it's just like, let's show you yourself so that you can like move the ego out of the way and work on it. You know, so in our reading, I start with like auras, but then it gets really deep because like once I start with the colors, then it's like I get all this stuff from childhood and I get like messages and I get like things like patterns, like really deep subconscious set stuff. And some people the best reading I have, and honestly the most often reading I have, is people are like, you know, I already knew that. And I'm like, yes, you know, like validation. You know, there's something about somebody who doesn't know you telling you something that you're like, oh my God, okay. And it's like, yeah, see, you already know, so just do it like that. It's like a shove in the right direction. I mean, that's in a nutshell what it is, you know, but it gets very deep. It's very deep.
Is it exhausting? Are you like, when you're just seeing all these colors and knowing certain things are inauthentic, that just sounds exhausting to me.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have a limited amount of readings I do, you know, and then like that are one-on-one. And then of course I try to create content and stuff like that so people can just have fun, you know, fun with it or learn, you know, on their own or just get that catalyst for their own insight. But I turn it off. I have to turn it off. Like, I'm not going anywhere these days, obviously, but like when I do, I see colors all the time. I can't turn that off, but there's messages that come with it. So sometimes people are energetically just irresponsible, I call it. Like, they're messy. They are messy. And you'll feel them just like walking next to you in the grocery store or like, what is up with that person? And just notice when you feel these things, because like what's happening is like their aura is effed up, like basically like they are all over the place. So that's when I have to kind of like, all right, I don't want to pick up any of that because I'd be doing it all day. Yeah, because it is exhausting. It takes work because I have to step into people to do it. So usually I just reserve it for the appointments, but for the most part, I try to shut it down.
Okay.
You know, the message part, the seeing part, I can't.
Wow.
Yeah. And my daughter does it too.
Oh, your daughter?
Really? Yeah. My 11-year-old, like, she does it too. And so it's actually, I think like we have kids, and like when you have kids, they trigger you a lot, you know, and it's, so we'll be out and she'll get something that I realize I repress. So she'll pick up something on somebody. And it's like, oh God, like, you're right. You know, and I'm like, man, why do I repress that? You know, like, oh, like so it's been a learning experience for me, like helping her understand it. Yeah.
Interesting. So how should we do this? Jess, did you pick someone from our listeners to be read?
Yeah, so I thought when Megan and I were talking, where we can do our like kids and partners, and then I have 2 broad selfies that I sent to Megan.
Yeah, where do you want me to start?
Amazing. I
Should
have one question.
Yeah.
I have one quick question. Do you have any biases? Like, do you ever have to like override maybe your own bias against like a certain color
It's
or
so
a certain
funny.
kind of aura that like
such a
triggers
good
you
question.
personally?
Oh my God, yes. Because I think it comes from my own upbringing. Like anybody that reminds me of my mother, it's like, okay. Like, here we go. Like, that's where, and that is so personal, and I would only say it on here because they don't listen. But like, I think they're old and they don't listen to any podcast. But anybody that reminds me of my mother, I cannot, like, I'll do it, but it's very hard for me.
Yeah.
So that, but she's a unique bird, so it does not happen often.
What color are you?
I'm indigo and purple. That's what I see when I look in the mirror.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
do you ever recognize yourself? Do you ever recognize yourself like projecting outwardly like an inauthentic color in yourself?
Yes.
Do you ever recognize that?
All the time. Like, I'll project blue because I'll try to like be more normal for people, or I don't want to stand out, so I'll try to just be more blue. I really, with the attention and stuff, because attention makes me feel uncomfortable because then I feel it strongly. So I'll like try to dim that. So like when I do events and stuff like that, which I love to do events, but I'm much better one-on-one, or in a situation like this than an event. So I'll go to my blue instead of, which is like a wall, and you can be like, oh, she's so quiet, like that. And like, that's my blue when I put it up.
Got it. Okay, so let's do each one of us ladies, and then maybe we'll go back and forth and do like each of our respective partners and kids after.
Yeah.
Okay, Jess, I'll start with you.
Okay.
All right. So you're interesting because I'm looking at you now, on Zoom, and then I needed to take a picture from your Instagram just because there is a bit of a difference, which I thought was interesting.
Okay.
But that happens sometimes. So like I said, you're both purple, but you wear it differently. But Jess, you're purple in a way that, it's like very, very dense purple, which is, I just feel like you've been through a lot. And it's like, you're good humored, and you can like really, laugh it off, and you can, and all of that, but it's shaped you. And I feel like if you let it, and I just see with your purple, like, it's like looking at like a very deep gorge of purple or something, like it goes real deep. And I feel like if you went there all the time, it would be too hard. So, and you let yourself go there, but it's very much on you in a depth. And I feel like people tend to tell you a lot of things because they can sense that she's non-judgmental and she's going to hear, and you've got like major healer vibes on you. And I feel like people just like word vomit a lot. I don't know if does that happen like a lot to you?
I will be at a store and a random person will come up and start like telling me their life problems, and I'm like, but it's hard because I do want to hear them. But like you said, there is that piece of I can only go there to a certain extent because then it starts to like take effect on my like physical being.
Yeah, it's triggering. And you have a very deep blue too. And honestly, I feel like you could be more indigo, but you teeter on it. So my big thing with you is like, I feel like you fear your own power a little bit. And this is too intense.
You can never get too intense with me.
I feel like you fear your own power. Like sometimes you can fear your own energy because like it doesn't have control. So what happens is like in times in your life when you feel like some things have gone wrong, I feel like you go to blame yourself. Like I wasn't in control, or I didn't step back, or this is all like a lot of self-talk that can be negative. And that, like in a reading with you, if this was that would be like, stop that. Like that would be like this message from your guides or whatever. It would be like, why do you blame yourself when things around you go out of control, like that? And why do you blame who you are, your emotions, like that kind of thing? But no, you run very deep. And I feel like, and it's interesting, because I took your Instagram photo because your Instagram's very raw and real, but you do wear some red in there. But you know what's funny? Then you sent me a picture of Evan and he's red. So I feel like he protects you. And what you do is like when you put yourself like out there, like to the public, let's say, or like whatever, it's like I'm gonna use a little bit of Evan, to help me here because I feel like he gives you those boundaries that you yourself, you have them and you're working on them, but you yourself need to borrow it sometimes. And he does that for you, but it's a good wearing of the color, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I when you say I have a lot of blue too, and when you're talking about like the Hannah Brown correspondence, that for me definitely hits because I feel like when you talk purple, I'm like that's what I get, but that blue growing up was I'm sure if you saw me when I was young, you'd be like, this girl is like just covering herself in blue and she's not letting any purple come through because I was so concerned about what other people thought because where and how I was raised, it was like who I was a little too off or too like raw. And then I was told I needed to just kind of, they didn't know how to handle my personality in my family. Right. So I think then someone like Evan came along. Evan and I have been we started dating when I was 16. And Evan was like a major, and I've talked about on the podcast before, where he like helped me. He was like a hero for me when I was incapable of really being myself, and he pulled that out of me and like let me be that way. So that totally makes sense to me if you're seeing.
I feel like that's so spot on.
It's seeing a reflection of him in my photos. It's like he is like literally a piece of who I am because I needed someone to do that for me for sure.
Isn't it funny how we will self-parent ourselves even into adulthood? Like there's something wrong with you, and then you tell yourself there's something wrong with me. Like it's just that's programming, it's that repetitive pattern. But you're actually very, very powerful with your ability to empathize and feel other people and stuff, but you don't have great boundaries. But that's okay. And like Rebecca, we're gonna talk about you. I think you have more boundaries in a way, but like Jess, you don't have so many boundaries. So that's why I feel like you're actually more indigo than blue. So indigos are it's like blue, but like with no boundaries, like that, like where it's just hard. That's why you have to limit certain people in your life or situations or whatever.
Well, I was even just when you were saying the red thing about Evan, I was just thinking how I've even witnessed like if there is something with the podcast or with social media, it is that protective shield of Evan being like, babe, these are fucking, this doesn't fucking matter. Like, this is fine. And kind of like talk you off the ledge thing
constantly.
And having to like use that shield to protect you. And then also just how you were talking about the characteristics of red and just thinking about how even it's like, when it comes to business stuff, it's like, Evan's got that under control. He's that protective barrier with all of that side of things.
Do it. Well, and then when you're talking about also like it being like running deep and saying that there's I've had experienced a lot. I feel like a lot of that with like there's a fear because and I've talked about this on the podcast before, but with like my bipolar, there were times in my life where it was spiraling out of control, where I was putting myself in dangerous situations. So there's this part of me that has tried to like train myself to put a limit on allowing my emotions to spiral out of control. So when if you maybe see that red, that's almost maybe like this part of me that's tried to learn from, my partner who's red to be like, I need to have this sometimes to make sure that I do have boundaries and protect myself.
And I think, and it's so wonderful that you share that because like, I feel like with the bipolar thing or like how I see it is just like you run very deep, which can scare you.
Yeah.
It's not your energy's fault. It's like, it's like something else. It's the ego's fault, which is just like the part of you that's human that will always try to self-destruct no matter where you are. And like that war between self-destruction and soul growth and feeling like where that hits you. And it's really good that you have somebody like Evan to be there and be like, he can sense when you're on that precipice and like be like, pull back. And you also sense it in yourself, which is just the best part about getting older, like we're not like, it's easier to catch ourselves when we're like, well, I'm doing that thing again, but yeah, so I think like, yeah, that's their thing. Like, don't fear your powers, don't fear your energy, don't blame it, all that kind of stuff.
Mm.
Really
That makes
cool.
me feel good. I appreciate that. Now B.
All right, so Bekah, I pulled up so you're funny because your Instagram photos are exactly just how you are, which is like there's like this is like here I am, like there's really no difference, which is it's funny. So
I'm
yeah.
also interested if you can bring into if there's any difference like now versus when I was on The Bachelor.
Oh, that's such a good idea. All right, I just took your most I love this one. Like it's not your most recent, but your baby's on your back and you're like, there's a mountain. It's just so pretty. Yeah, then I'll look. Okay, so you have a lot of more blue than you did when you were on The Bachelor. You're purple blue, but your purple is a type of purple. Like it's funny. It's almost like you can see what's going on, almost like you're watching it from afar. And I think that's your big talent. Like, and I saw this with you when you were on the and it's funny. Okay, so backing up, when I saw you on The Bachelor, and you know how I was saying I get all stressed out about reality TV and stuff, I was like, why is she on this? Because listen, I love The Bachelor, and like you didn't fit in, and like the show is very 3D, which is why we love it. And I feel like it's almost like artistic in how 3D it is, or something, if that makes sense. Like, and it's like, oh, it's like so beautiful. And then I was like, but what is she doing on this? Because I get this thing when you were on it, you have this amazing ability to look at what's going on and see it with a filter. Like you're there and it affects you and stuff like that, but you have a greater perspective of it as you watch it. Whereas like somebody like me or somebody else who's a little like Jess even maybe, where it's like, oh my God, like just in the moment, it's just very reactive. You have like a really good cushion or buffer. And I feel like you just really have faith in your own intuition about things and how you get things first. But now since The Bachelor, a lot more rawness and I guess just like vulnerability or something. And I feel like you found strength in your vulnerability. And I feel like you found strength in saying, this is how I feel, and this is what this experience is like, and this is where I'm at now. I'm not going to apologize for it or whatever. And I feel like that has brought you to like a very, and then when I look at your boyfriend's name, what's his name again? It's like Gray or something.
Grayston.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys have like a very, it's hard to talk about one without talking about the other, especially when it's such a close partnership. But like when I was looking at his picture, I feel like you two have a very common value in keeping it real, keeping it grounded, and keeping it self-reliant. And I feel like no matter what happens around you, that can be very like shiny or sparkly or this or that or people or all sorts of that. You guys have a very clear perspective on what you can trust and what you can't. And I feel like he's had to borrow that from you in a lot of ways. Like you've had to teach him a lot. I don't know if you want me to get into him yet already, but I feel like you've taught him a lot. You've nurtured him a lot. So I get that.
Yeah, you can totally dive into that.
Okay. He's green and blue. So but not like Peter. Oh my God, please. No. But like he's like everybody
Bekah's like, I have to leave.
Like, this is over. Yeah. His green is very he's very authentic. And I had to categorize greens because there's so many different kinds. And it's Grayston, right?
Yeah.
Grayston. Okay. I had to categorize greens, and Grayston, he's like a different green. He's like off the grid green or something. I feel like if he could live off the grid, perhaps he would or something. I feel like he's very self-reliant. I feel like he feels extremely close to nature, and I feel like he needs to be in charge of his own life, but I also feel like he needed confidence to get to that. And I get all this family stuff or whatever interfering a little bit. And I get like you coming in and being like, that thing like where sometimes greens can look at themselves on paper versus their own connection with self. You've helped him with the connection with self. Like, how does this feel to you? And let's keep this about the 3, almost 4 of us here as a family. And like, what do you want out of life? And like clarifying his passions and helping him scaffold that into what. And he needs his separate thing going on. I feel like that's just greens are it can be a little workaholic-y, but that's how they are. Like, it's because they have busy minds. And he feels like he's a very busy mind. But I feel like he's a putterer. Like, he always has to be moving or doing his thing. He does feel athletic, and he feels very close to nature. And he just feels like a very chill dude, which I feel like is an energy you definitely need. You can't have somebody all like up and down and all over the place. And I feel like you guys have a very calm, hippie vibe together, and it feels good. That's what I get with you guys.
Definitely, it definitely was an evolution for me coming off the show too, because I had to learn to leave a place of defensiveness constantly about like feeling like I had to defend like who I am, because I think I 95% of the time am being authentic about who I am, but I didn't feel as confident about other people not liking that or feeling like there was an issue if other people had issues with me. And it's obviously still a work in progress, and I still deal with that defensiveness, but it's nothing like right when I came off The Bachelor. And definitely like being in the public eye was very developing for me. And then also going through my relationship with Grayson, definitely I definitely resonated with what you said. And then also just the balance of him being more grounded and being like, okay, let's focus on what really matters. And then me being like, okay, let's focus on you and what, like you said, what you really want. That's interesting what you said about also the family interference.
Yeah, that's like a whole thing, which we could get into later. But like, I feel like so sure. When you saying that about coming off The Bachelor, I think like it's really hard when you're intuitive to feel people's misinterpretations of you. The same, like, and they enter your, like, you see their thinking, like, you feel their thinking, you understand their logic about how they got to their assumptions of you. So you want to come back because you're articulate and you're somebody who enjoys a discourse and doesn't run away from it. So you're like, let's talk about that. And then not being able to control what other people think, because some people just want to think it because that makes them happy to have you a certain way and them another way.
Dude, I've said that to Jess before, because I'm like, Jess, what bothers me is not when people like throw stuff at me. It's when I'm misunderstood fundamentally of the person I am. And so if I see like, we
literally just had this conversation like so recently. It's so funny you're saying this, Megan.
Yes, because it's just like, it's not when someone just like says something mean about me or whatever. It's when somebody fundamentally misunderstands me or misunderstands my intentions.
Yeah.
Because like I can just think right now of like some random Reddit thread where it was like, this is the thing about Bekah. And I was like, that's not me though. Yeah. And that's the thing that drives me insane, where I'm like, you're not right about where I'm coming from. And that's the most frustrating thing for me.
People project on you a lot. Like, Bekah, people project on you a lot. So like whatever and back to the purple shaming thing, because like what happens is it's like, she's a woman with a voice, and like maybe they don't feel like they have their own voice, or like God knows what's going on in their own life, and you can just be a target to receive a lot of whatever their own insecurities are, which I do see with purple people like you, because you are a different type of purple that you're not gonna hide it like as much as like other people may. Like, you're like, this is me, and like, here it is, and like, this is my thought, and this is my opinion, and this is what I think, or whatever. And like, and instead of like, oh my God, because some people like subservience in a relationship, even like if they don't know you personally, they're like, you should be more subservient to other people's opinions all the time. And it's like, you don't share that or whatever. So you'll get attacked, but then you'll be loved too. There's two sides to that coin.
Polarizing. Yeah. I'm excited to talk about. Let's talk about Evan and Jess.
Okay. Evan. So I got this picture. So he's red and he's blue, and he's just very, very sweet. And you guys do have soulmate. I mean, you guys soulmate vibes in this kind of like Jess and Evan feel like they have this thing like where, I don't know. They just feel like this is gross, but they feel like family, but not in a gross way.
Definitely incest vibes.
Definitely first cousin energy. It's fine. No, I know what you mean though. I understand what you're saying.
It's so gross and it's super not sexy, but you feel related. No, I'm just kind of kidding.
Well, Jess, you've said before, Jess, that like sometimes you don't feel sort of. You can cut this out if you don't want me to say this, but you can feel sort of like not related to some of your own close family members and like not feeling familial energy with your closest.
To be honest, most of my close family members, I'm just like, I don't believe that I'm actually blood related to you. And I accuse them all the time of lying to me about like me being adopted. My whole life, I was like, no, I know I'm not. But when I met Evan, I was like, you're so different from me. But there is that weird piece where I'm like, I feel
familial
seen
tie, like, and
yeah, there's something. But it was always weird because he did feel very, very different from me.
It's that soulmate thing, which can be like past life related, you know, like you've known him a few times and that kind of stuff just kind of clicks sometimes in this lifetime. But yeah, protective, you know, but he's very much, they're saying he's like flexible. So I get that he's the type of person, like no matter, even like this, they're like, he's like, let's think of a new idea. Let's think of this. Let's think of that. Like he feels like he's got a little ingenuity in terms of how to take almost like a downturn situation and like make something out of it. It feels like that's his personal challenge in life and he likes that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you see him kind of glow and happy. And he's got this like little kid energy a little bit. He feels artistic too. I have to give him this. He feels a bit, and you do too. Like, so I feel like you guys do connect. It's funny because reds, he's blue too, but reds and purples, the way that they work, because you're very purple and he's very red. Okay. So like the way they work is you're very much alike. Like you don't really want anybody telling you what to do. Uh-huh. That's similar. but at the same time, like purple doesn't mind sometimes being told what to do if it's like, you know, cute or hot or whatever. Yeah. And then like
it's definitely a turn on sometimes, even though I get very angry. Yeah.
But you know when to also like and like reds kind of like it when somebody's a little wild and they gotta control them or tame them or whatever. You know, so it's kind of like a dance that can get played. And that's why I often see like purples and blues like not running out of passion. And even like when life takes a downturn, like, you know, marriage is ups and downs all the time. It's like that, at least the passion always works. Like, you know, that part.
Yeah, we'll always have sex. We always joke about that.
Yeah.
It's like we can bicker, like when we were younger, the bickering was like, this isn't good. And then we've, you know, grew up and it was a healthy thing. But we're like, we always have sex. That one's always going to be fun.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that can like sustain through some hard times. So
yeah, sometimes it can.
But he's funny. I feel like he's very direct and he says it like it is and he doesn't really mince words and like like what Bekah was saying with trolls or haters or like that kind of like he really doesn't bother him. I feel like injustice really pisses him off. Like if somebody is like being abused or somebody says like I think a lot of things with you guys, like if they say negative things, like a lot of it will roll off his back. But every once in a while I can see him going like postal. Just like every once in a while. And then it's like, oh boy, okay. Yeah. But that's just the red aura thing, and then he's over it. And it's like the weirdest things, and you're like, that you're gonna get angry about. But like he's very chill and he feels like I said, I get like with business and work and things like that. A lot of directions there, a lot of different projects, a lot of this, a lot of that. And he feels like he likes people and he's good with people. Yeah, that's what I get with him.
Yeah, I mean you're nailing
it.
That's
totally Evan.
It was very like, easy to talk to. And then and then where do we go next?
Well, I was just gonna say like the cool thing is too that sort of what I'm hearing like between all four of us is we're all very like I guess authentic people or like true to ourselves, and I definitely like feel that just even with us two as couples is very like this is like here I am and this is who I am.
There's a lot of acceptance.
Jess and Evan and me and Gray.
Oh, Evan's funny too. Yeah, like Evan's funny because like, you know, I think like I feel like in any marriage or any relationship, I mean, Bekah, you and Grayson feel married, even though you're not. That's a spiritual thing, though.
Everybody can back off about it because in my brain they're married. I don't know. They're married.
Like I hate saying boyfriend because it's so much more than that. Like because I'll feel like a spiritual bond because like the way when I get energy, it doesn't. And I'll read married people and they feel single, which is like the worst, most saddest thing.
Oh
yeah,
gosh.
Marriage is a vibe. It's not a piece of paper. So that's like a big thing. But Grayston, he feels more he feels like a little anti-establishment, a little bit, like where it's like, why do like question it, like, well, why do we have to do that? Just like, well, why? But that's a green person thing, and I feel like you are like that too, because you're like, yeah, why? And it's just kind of like your way. Society is such a machine, and it really bothers some people more than others. And I feel like you two as a couple, like, are like, we're not going to succumb to it. And I feel like that's, I don't know, it's a good, you're fighting the good fight. That's what I get with you guys.
Absolutely.
Cool.
That's pretty spot on.
You guys are cute.
Now, I have a question about the two of them. In like when you see Bekah during The Bachelor, does it seem like since her and Gray have been together that there has been like an exchange of like aura color at all? Because from an outside perspective, Bekah's energy is like there's a level of calm in especially this past year that was very different. And Gray has that to him, where Gray is just like he's antsy, so he'll move around, but he has this like calm energy. I don't know. It's kind of a weird. It's hard to explain, but I feel like
I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's almost like since like in this past year, it's almost like I've seen that piece, and I don't know if it's the double blue. Is it like maybe the blue? I'm not. I'm.
No, I know what you mean.
And I think what you're saying too, and then I definitely want to hear what Megan is going to say about it. But I think like a lot of people, their first read would be like, oh, it's because you had the baby. But I actually don't really feel like it's related to that.
You, when I look at you, Bekah and Grayson, it's interesting the way, and usually I don't see colors this way, but like it's like you live in each other's hearts. And that sounds so freaking cliche, but like that's where I get the energy coming from off of both of you. So I feel like there's hidden parts of Grayson. It makes me like kind of want to cry as I start to do it, because I feel like there's a lot there that I could get into, but I don't want to get into on the podcast. You know what I mean? But there's very hidden parts of him that he needed to be kind of crawled into and seen and healed. And I feel like you did that for him. And there were parts of you that needed to feel like somebody wasn't going to, I guess, like run away or reject. And I feel like he did that for you, because like Spirit's so funny. They're like, he's not going anywhere like that. And like, I feel like there's just, and like, I think there's just parts of him that are very like, once I do, like, he's just very like, once I commit, that's where I am. Like, he's very, and nothing could happen that would shatter his mentality about things, which is great. It's like very stubborn, but also comforting. But I get that what happened was like you nurtured each other. You nurtured each other very strongly. When I saw you on The Bachelor, Bekah, that's what I was saying. Like the purple was like really up, and the blue was kind of back. And now when I look at you, it's way more balanced. And if anything, maybe because this one picture I'm looking, I just like this one picture from your Instagram with the baby. You know, you're with the baby and you're all pregnant and stuff. Like, you know, you're really sunk into the blue, you know, which is like nurturing, healing, you know, feeling other people's feelings, not taking things personally just because you've sensed something that's not yours, you know, stuff like that. And just feeling comfortable. And it's a nice, like, I guess sometimes like when I do a reading, I'll get just like a feeling, like if I was hanging out with the couple or like what that feels like. It's just very calm and it's very normal. And I feel like Grayson's like a good sounding board for you, and he's intelligent and he can give a really good feedback. He might not always be exactly where you're at because you're very purple. So you're like, what about this? What about this? And over here and this too. And I feel like Grayson's more like, all right, let's just organize this. And then it's nice. It's a good balance. And then you help him think outside the box and he helps you organize a little bit. So it's like those opposite but opposite energy. But what keeps you guys together is the blue, the nurturing. So that's what I get from you guys. Safety.
Yeah, and then I think we both remind each other of what's important to. We have like very much the same things that are important to each other. And actually, maybe this is one reason why sometimes it's really hard for people to become parents with each other, because maybe it brings out the values that people have that are different, and that's why like kids can be really difficult. But then when we had our first child together, it was sort of like we realized how on the same page we were of like the direction we wanted to be going, what was important to us. So then that like pulled us together rather than like pushing us apart.
You're definitely
and also
a
I
family.
feel like and I also feel like with him, just even with his background and family and growing up and everything, it was like he didn't care about like what TV show I had been on or what I had done. And and that feels very good to me, because even if I was to one day become like fucking Selena Gomez or something like that, he wouldn't care, and he wouldn't think any higher of me, and he wouldn't like, and so that keeps me very centered in like who I am and what's important, because he's never going to lose sight of that.
I think you both have that like husbands and partners that don't take your growth personally and don't view it as a source of their own insecurities. Like, what if she doesn't need me? You know, which I see all the time when I read couples. Somebody can't grow because the other person feels unnecessary. And how much of the marriage was you staying the same so your partner felt important, you know, which is not how to do it. Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Well, that's a good start.
Yeah, seriously.
Okay, this is so much fun. We hope that you broads are enjoying this. But we have to take a quick pause. Here's the thing. It might seem distant now, but there will be one day, when we're allowed out of our houses to socialize again. And when that day comes, I want my teeth looking even whiter than they were before I split my days evenly between black coffee and red wine, which is my life right now. And if you are at home with kids, you know what I mean. The best way to make sure your smile is looking just so white and bright, High Smile's teeth whitening system. I have been using my system for a little over 2 months, I think now, and I can say very confidently, this thing works. It just works. And if you're already thinking in your head that you can't use a whitening system because you have sensitive teeth, stop right there. First of all, totally understand. I was skeptical about the system before I used it. Trying to whiten your teeth either at home or through a dentist when you have sensitive teeth can be pretty painful, and I've had my fair share of experiences with that. But High Smile system, I have never experienced any sensitivity, like zero, which is seriously incredible. And the whole process is so easy. All you have to do is pop that tray in for 10 minutes a day for 6 days, and just like that, you are on your way to having that white, bright smile. And we all have 10 minutes a day right now, right? I mean, you can do this when you're listening to our podcast, watching your kids, typing away on your computer. I mean, I guess even cooking dinner. We can get creative with how we're whitening our teeth. But don't just take our word for it. High Smile's teeth whitening system is used and loved by so many celebrities, from Kim Kardashian to Kylie Jenner to Millie Bobby Brown. And these people have access to the best of the best, and they have chosen High Smile for all their teeth whitening needs. That says something about the quality of their product to me. And if you're a little skeptical like I was, High Smile offers a 30-day money-back guarantee if you don't see at least 2 shades of whiter teeth after using their kit. That's a really great deal, which it would be a big surprise to me, to be honest. And not only that, broads, for our lucky listeners, High Smile is offering 20% off site-wide for a limited time only. Simply visit highsmileteeth.com to shop their range of products and enter code CHATTY at checkout for 20% off. That's HISMILE teeth, highsmileteeth.com, promo code CHATTY at checkout for 20% off. Let's get back into it.
Okay, let's talk about our kids.
Yay! Oh my gosh. All right. What's your baby's name, Bekah? What's your baby's name?
Ruth. And then,
Ruth. Okay. Baby Ruth. Okay. So with Ruth, I'll start with her just because, babies like do take like a few years to form their little auras. Like 3's like a good age, you know? But when I look at her, oh my gosh. Let me look at that. You sent me a good picture, but then I want to get the one that I took off the Instagram too.
She's a sparkly little kid already. At her age, she's pretty like, I mean, she's magnetic since she was like 8 months old.
I feel like she is who she is.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's been very obvious from a pretty young age.
Kids are very authentic. Like, they are what they are. And it's our job to screw them up, and I think
Totally.
that's just what happens because we're humans raising humans. So it's like, oh God, and it comes so perfect. And then you drive yourself crazy. I think the key to good parenting is validating them later when they're like, you did this. No, sorry, like that. But, but with Ruth, she's such an old soul. And I remember when you had her, and I remember, because I'm a creeper on Instagram, obviously. So when you, I was zooming in. And I remember, let's look at this. Love. I zoom in with love. But I remember being that is an old soul baby. Almost her eyes, almost to the point
Dude,
where
people say that all the time when we go out there, oh, she sees things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, she's very connected. I mean, I feel your way of mothering was, I don't know if you do attachment style parenting or if there's another word for that or something, but she needed that. Definitely to be with you, not to feel not with you, I guess, was important for her. And really, she's very empathy. So I can see her being blue or indigo or something. And she feels really, I mean, she's, like I said, she's a baby. She feels very good with nonverbal communication, and she always has been. And that helps glue. Okay, and that's another thing with mothers. When you have a baby, I do not remember this, Bekah, and I swear I'm just getting it now. Otherwise, I will always tell. Did you have a depression thing or something around when you had her or something? Because it feels like you were getting her vibes major or something after.
Well, did I have a,
did you have
phrase that again?
major pregnancy blues or something right after her?
I definitely, the first few weeks were really hard. Okay. Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, definitely. Because I didn't really realize how hard it was until later. But yeah, I was very overwhelmed. I was very overwhelmed with a really weird sense of empathy where even when I would get, this is so stupid, but I would get emails from a small business or something that wanted to send me stuff so I could post about it. And I would cry because I would be I don't have time to do this, but I know that this is someone who just wants to share what they make with the world. And that would literally bring me to tears. And I was dealing with that kind of shit so much in the first month where I was so overwhelmed by feeling I would think about other babies and how they wouldn't have the kind of love that I was able to, or attention that I was able to give. I was very overwhelmed with all of that the first few weeks after she was born, for sure.
Yeah, because she's very powerful. I think all mothers go through kind of an awakening when you have a kid, whoa, it's a lot, but something about Ruth, I feel was extra dialed into you. So you had to it was flipping a switch onto your empath powers. So it was kind of all of a sudden it was you always had it. And then it was just I don't know, surround sound empathy. It's just, that's her. So all mothers, I notice after they have a baby, start getting stressed out because they have to learn nonverbal communication. That's how you become a mother. You have to understand what your baby wants, and nobody else knows what you're talking about. But something about her, that's why I asked you if it was deeper, just because she feels she did that to you. Not all mean about it. It's just, that's just how she is. I can just see her always being like that. You're never going to be able to lie to her. We do that to kids. We're oh, mommy and daddy aren't fighting. It's nope, you're going to have to level with her. All that kind of stuff. Because she feels she'll just kind of give you that look and no. And I just.
Oh, yeah. I was telling someone the other day, or I was telling Gray, I was when she even saw us play fighting, and this is maybe 6 months ago, and talking to each other in a certain way, and her face registered so much concern, and I had to be, I mean, I was whoa, Gray, she's really taking this seriously. So I was it's okay, we're we love each other. And then when she watches us kiss or hug, her face just lights up.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And she's so comforted by that. And then she gets really easily disturbed if there seems there's issues. So it feels really important to me. I'm I don't really want to scare her at a really young age and have certain kind of arguments or discussions in front of her, because she totally picks up on it.
Yeah, she always will too. Just you'll see as she gets older, she'll just be I can see her asking all the tough questions early, like all about life and death and how it works and stuff. She's just emotionally kind of more present than I think a lot of kids are. So yeah, she's definitely gonna be an empath kid. I can see her being blue or indigo. She just feels very deep. And what's your daughter's name, Jess?
Her name is Ember.
Ember. So Ember has some yellow, which is funny. Like Ember likes to organize you a little bit. Like she feels like they're I feel like she has like mom vibes towards you. I get from her a little bit, like where she wants to kind of come in and be like, look, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but I get this when I kind of sit in your energy. I get this thing where she kind of like looks at how you're doing things and be like,
she criticizes me every day.
Why don't you wear this and do this and put this over here? And even though it makes no sense, because how old is she? Like what, 5? How old is she?
She's 4, yeah.
Oh, she's 4, okay. Even though she has her 4-year-old sense of like what looks good or organization or whatever, like this will mature. And then I feel like one day you'll be like, yeah, please take over my closet.
Oh,
or like,
yeah.
please go for it. You want to make dinner? Go ahead. She just feels like she's good at running a house and good at like running a situation. Very confident. I feel like she's close to both of you. She's definitely got I feel like some kids need, I just feel like this is your kid. And obviously if you wanted more kids, you could have more kids. You know what I mean? But I feel like she's fine being Ember. You know what I mean? The 3 of you. Like, and so I just get with her, she likes kind of the dynamic where she has her daddy and they're like, she likes daddy style way of doing things. She's got her mommy. She can go tell mommy what to do and like life's perfect. And that's what I get with her. But she's got
she can go boss her around.
Yeah, she feels a little bit like, we'll call her like the director. Like kind of like,
oh my God,
do this and do that.
Yeah.
She's really smart. She feels very articulate from a very young age. And she's just a talker because she feels like real like good with getting across what she needs to say.
Yes, she's been very, very.
That's so funny.
Yeah, she's been so verbal since she was, like 8 months. There were many words already, and she has actually bossed me around since she was like a year old. And I sometimes hear people being like, the kid's the boss, and I'm like, no, I like literally. Ember, like the other day we got her this camera, and so now all day in quarantine she's taking photos, but she makes us pose exactly how she wants us to. So it's literally like she'll be like, Mom, do something pretty, and I'll like be like, and she'll be like, no, and like fix my hand, and I'm just like, okay, rude, but sure.
Yeah, and it's so funny you said the photography thing, and I know like kids like all sorts of stuff, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But yellow people are always those photographers that are like cake smash or engagement leaning on a burn, like kind of like the photos that make everyone happy, like that kind of stuff. Does that make sense? They do yellow's like photography, like cooking, and they're crafty. So she could be, if she's crafty, but like actually good at it, like my kids are crafty too, but they're not good at it, but like if she's actually good at it, like that's yellow. Like, oh my God, she braided hair, like when did you learn to do that, like stuff like that, like really good at that kind of stuff.
She's not very good with like arts and crafts type thing, but she is very it's like she'll bring home an art piece and I'm like, it's beautiful, but it's not necessarily her skill. But the picture, she's great at taking these photos, but she's also she's very very creative in the sense of like dancing and singing and like those pieces. She's a dancer.
Also vision too.
Yes.
It's like creative vision, even if she's not the one that's necessarily going to be able to make it happen.
Yeah,
she has the vision.
She's the director, like you said.
Usually yellows do.
She's a creative director. Yeah.
They can be like interior designers sometimes or things like that. Like, I don't know, yellows just have a way of like making things look better. And we're all like, oh yeah, that looks better. Like they're in marketing a lot, like stuff like that. You're like, oh yeah, that looks better. Like, why didn't I think of that? But you guys are raising her like way too confident to ever be told what to do, like, which is a good thing. Like sometimes, just because Bekah, you were in like the TV world, I don't know if you noticed like some of these producers, I don't know if you noticed like and I never work, this is just what I get from like reading them, so you can tell me if this is true. some of them, it's almost like they're abused for their job. And it's like, why do you put up with that or something? And that's like a lot of yellow people can fall into that trap. So it's really good that you're giving her, like, you let her, okay, yes, okay, I'll do what you want to do, or tell me what to do, or that's a better idea. That was good. Because then she'll like learn not to be talked to that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Okay.
That's a green person trigger, just so you know. Green people have that trigger, like, to miss garbage day.
Bye. Bye.
I love that.
Why'd you have to come in and tell me that we missed the garbage?
Because he's green, and that's a green person trigger. They can't handle that. And if you do the garbage wrong, they can't handle that.
That's so
like miss. Okay,
it triggered him.
Oh my god, the timing, that was hilarious.
That's so interesting, and I love that you're reading with Ember, because I feel like any person would be like, oh, she's purple, or like, oh, she's this.
Yes,
she's, you know what I mean?
Yes, no, you're.
And then that when you said all that about the yellow, I'm like, oh, that's actually like really intuitive, and that totally makes sense.
No, that's
like,
it's
that's
so
not...
no, Megan, because she is this kind of, you know, like kind of oddball, like trippy, dancey, like very feely, emotive personality. But that's the piece that people, aren't going to necessarily see right away. Like, Bekah, you know, you come over and she's directing you. She'll be like, I need you to pull this up on your phone, Bekah. And it's very directive and very like, okay. You gotta...
Just give it. Or what does she say sometimes? She's like, just give it to me.
Yeah, if you're not doing it quick enough, just give it to me.
And you're like, no.
This is between
I'm sorry,
Bekah
no. And she's like, why?
It's just the same way, like, people always ask, they're like, please have Ember on the podcast for a few minutes to interview her. And I'm like, listen to me. I have attempted to do this. She won't do it. Like, she sits down and she goes, no, I don't feel like talking. And so you'll ask her questions and she'll be like, no. What do you want me to say?
Well, and then also when you first meet her, you know, people are like, you know, put on the show for me. Kind of like that's sort of the expectation that you have when you first meet. You're like, oh, Ember's going to do her Ember thing. And it's kind of like, she's sort of like, hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah. People are like, post more with her dancing. I'm like, no.
Can I help you?
She won't do it unless she feels like doing it. Like, there is no, you know, I could never be a stage mom with her. It just would not work. There's no way. That's so funny. That's so funny.
Yeah, she's cute. Like, she comes across very her own person, which is good at such a young age.
Yes.
Okay, I have just one more question.
Yeah.
What are sort of maybe the blind spots that we as both partners and parents should look out for in our relationships with our children and our spouses, like in relation to
like generally, or you guys specifically?
Specifically, okay. I think just like parenting that certain color and be partnering with that kind of person. Like what are our potential blind spots? Yeah,
I love
in
that.
our relationships with those people.
That's good. Well, I think we covered Ruth, because her thing is always going to be like, she's going to know what's going on, even if she can't put words to it. So
don't try to,
And like, if you see her acting out, like, this is older, obviously, or what, I mean, you can probably tell now because she's very expressive and communicative with you. If you see her acting out or cranky or whatever, be like, what am I repressing today? What's the energy? What's the vibe in the house? Because she might pick up like dad's having a day or mom's having a day or something, or like mom just had a phone call and she's like doing that mom thing, or like, all right, what do you want for lunch? Like, kind of like, you know, where you just operate but you're not there present. Like, we all do that. She's just extra aware that way. And then as she gets older, which I don't think this is going to be your problem, like, at all, but like family stuff or relationships with like extended family, honesty with her is always going to be the best policy. Like, how does this person make you feel? Like, did you feel like you had to please this person, or did you, again, a lot with Grayson's family, like, did you feel like you have to do that? So I think that for her with Ruth. And then with Ember, okay, her thing is she feels really okay. I mean, she feels so was trying to find something.
You guys could orphan her right now, and like she'd kind of be fine. So
find
just so you
some
know.
sort of public transportation system and get where she actually wanted to go on vacation.
Yeah, she's okay. Okay, she feels very social. So I do get with her, like with friend groups and stuff like that, she's gonna have to learn when to like drop somebody. Like if somebody doesn't want to hang out, like you can't control them, or like I really want this person for a play date. Please call them right now. Da, 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 da. You know, it might forcing things that she feels should happen, but just aren't. I think is going to be her thing a little bit socially.
I like this boy.
No, I can't even. I mean, before all of this, the lockdown started. It was that this was a challenge we were dealing with at school because she would go in and she's a lot for certain kids. So certain kids don't respond to her very well, and she forces herself on them. So I will watch her run up on the playground, and every day she goes up to the kids who there's all these kids who want to be friends with her. She ignores them. She goes up to the kids that are kind of like, you're too much, and over goes over and over again right away. Are you my friend? Are you going to be my friend? Are we best friends?
Aww.
And it's like, Ember, you need to just like chill.
Yeah.
It's okay that they don't all want to be your best friend and you can't force them. So if you're using the word force, I'm like, yes. Okay.
Yeah, that's her thing. So that'll be like your struggle with her a little bit. But she has people that love her unconditionally, like at home, you know? And so that's good.
Like as a teenager, would that translate into difficulty, like dropping friends that could be toxic too? Maybe like relationships or people that aren't necessarily healthy.
Yeah, like you don't want her to be the one that's picking up the drunk friend every, at 3 a.m. because nobody else, like, it's like, stop picking up the drunk friend. Like she's using you, like it's just like, I realize you feel bad for her and you don't take it personally, and it might not even feel bad to her, because she doesn't take it in so much, and that could be a trigger for you, Jess, too, because you'll be like, oh my God, that chick's using my daughter, and like, you'll feel that, and then you'll be like, she's using, but then it's going to be kind of a slippery slope, because like with Ember, she might not care so much if somebody,
because she might have like built-in emotional boundaries, like
And she might have her own ulterior motive for having that friend, even though they are using her. I don't know. Like, so like, she's just because she likes to control her situation a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, that's her, but she's fine. You know what I mean? Like, she's okay. Like, I'm picking up like the weak spots, on purpose.
Yeah.
But like, that's it. I mean, but like when Bekah said, like, as a teenager, like toxic friends. Like, and then like, you have to hit her motivations with Ember. Like, what are Ember's motivations? Ember's motivations are like having things kind of like streamlined, or things that make sense, or things that make sense for her world, or make her feel safe. Okay. So like, she also might be the kid that's like, what are we doing today? Or what's the plan? Or like, what, like that.
It's the first thing she says when she wakes up.
What's the plan?
Where's my itinerary?
So she literally wakes up and goes, so what are we doing today? First thing. I walk in the door. I'm like, it's 6:30 in the morning. I don't know. Calm down.
And sometimes toxic people are predictable in their toxic ways. So they're easier to be friends with, because you're like, okay, they're going to call me and need me, and they're going to want me to meet their stupid boyfriend, or like that, or like that kind of stuff. And it's like, I don't know, let's keep the conversation open. And then marriage. All right, we'll start with Grace then. I think, like Greens, like all good Greens, he can put up a wall. So I feel like to get through life early on, he had to put up walls, and otherwise he wouldn't have gotten through it or something. And so sometimes that can be like the defense mechanism, like, boop, a wall. And I think with you, Bekah, like when you feel the wall, you're like, oh no, I don't like that, So I think just in the marriage, it's just like keeping the line of, which I think you guys do a good job of, communication open, like, where, are you okay? Let's talk, let's connect, but not too much that it's going to make him all annoyed or whatever. I feel like when he gets stressed, he can put up a bit of a wall, like emotionally. He doesn't know he's doing it. He needs a lot of, there's something with like nature with him. And green people do like nature, but him specifically, I do get like it's very grounding for him to go be active outside. I know that sounds cliche, but for him, it feels like very essential for him to feel. But you guys are all holistic and stuff like that too, right? Because I feel like there's like this whole connection to that.
Well, like a big thing, I mean, obviously he owns a rock climbing gym, but like a big thing, even with the quarantine, it's like this is a really stressful situation because like his business is closed. But just even him being able to go back and surf like every other morning for the first time in so long for him has definitely been really therapeutic. And so in some ways, I've seen him at certain times being like a better emotional state than normal, and also just being alone for him out in the water is really like
he
important.
Needs that, and you don't take it personally, which is why you guys work. Like he needs his time, and then that works, but then he also
I only take it personally when he wants to hang out with his friends instead of me.
You're like this, then I'm like, this got personal. But I think like you talk to him about it, you guys keep that open. That's the only thing with him, I guess, but that's not that bad. And then with Evan, you guys feel like Evan and Jess just feel so. I feel like you read each other's minds so well that at this point you can have fights that are like over and done with, like without even saying a lot or something. So what do I get with you guys? I think with Evan, okay, so when Evan gets too bossy, I feel like that can bother you a little bit, Jess. So then I get like you don't mind. The whole protective thing's great. We cried about it. It's awesome. But then sometimes it's like, okay, you gotta step off and don't tell me what to do. Like every once in a while, it's just a little too much now. So I feel like that's the only thing with you two, I guess. And I do feel like, go ahead, no, say.
No, I was just gonna say it's funny because I feel like you brought it up in like a past episode where you talked about sex sometimes, where you're like, I don't need you to like look out for me right now. Oh, like at this moment.
No, it's like when we have sex, Evan needs it to be like so connected and intimate, like, and it's like every session, and I'm like, sometimes I just want to turn my brain off and like just have sex. We can't just do this constantly. It's too much. It's just too much emotional energy.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
He wants to feel like very present with you, and you're like,
yes,
not right now. Yeah, like it's just about somebody not always being in your space like all the time. And like getting out of it. But I mean, I will.
It's not
like,
a bad problem to have.
It's really not like your guys' marital issues. Like really aren't marital issues. They're just like living with people issues, and they don't feel stressful for me. I think if I felt something that was stressful, because people are like, you would have said it, you wouldn't have said it. If I felt something stressful, I would have like smoothed it over in a different way. But and honestly, out of everything, the biggest issue I get out of all four of you as couples is something with Grayson's family. And I get that feels like a ticking time bomb in a way or something.
We're going to talk about that off recording.
That's the only thing Spirit keeps like banging me over the head with. And I'm like, all right, that's an issue. But like other than that, you guys feel fine. Like who's going to confront about it and who's not?
I plead the fifth on record. Well, it's like, family shit is so complicated. Yeah. It's not like a thing of not liking family or not getting along. It's like sometimes there are dynamics that have been around since infancy because of so many different factors, people's trauma and just, the people being, like you said, raising other people. And so some of it's just, and also like, I don't mean this like a toot my own horn way. When you're talking about like seeing the overarching picture, especially like being close with someone and being able to zoom out and be like, this is exactly what's going on. And this person is draining you in this way. You need to set a boundary in this way. You're not responsible for this person's feelings. And just like being able to see that and know that and be sort of not being able to do anything about that is difficult.
Yeah. Yeah, because he'll feel unlovable if he's not the way that they expect him to be. And that's like a very deep-seated thing that's hard to figure out. But he is, and I feel like you've helped him with it and given him his own self. He just needs his own world.
Yeah, totally. And absolutely. Can you see baby auras
Oh my gosh.
at all?
You know, I can't because they're in there and I kind of have to see eyes. But I'm gonna go to I want to see a pregnant picture of you. I want to go to your Instagram. Pregnant picture. I mean, I see you here, but it's like fuzzy. Okay, I like this one. Oh, it's a boy, right? Okay. So, you know, this one.
He's a king.
It's just the vibe that I get. Every child's different, you know, that we have. It's amazing how that works. But where Ruth feels like was kind of always like, oh, you know, go with the flow in a lot of ways, as long as she was
very much so
near you. I feel like she definitely needed to be worn and breastfed and sleeping with you and doing like all that. Like as long as she was like, I'm with mom, I won't have issues. This one feels like he could have a little bit more of a feistier personality, not in a bad way, just kind of a little bit more like independence, if that makes sense. I think that would work for you guys. He feels like, oh my gosh, and I do not know, like, again, I'm not a doctor or anything like this, but like I was just getting this thing about you going earlier than you think you're gonna go. So, and I don't know, you went natural with Ruth, right? Because I get you going a little earlier than you think. So they're just saying like, whoa, like kind of surprised, like here we are, like that.
Get that tub ready, bitch. Get that tub blown up.
Oh my God, you're a birth tub girl. Oh, clap for you. That's good. Awesome.
We're gonna be in the water at home.
Oh, that's awesome. You are so
hopefully
cool.
not. Maybe it's a good thing that we have the quarantine right now. Maybe otherwise I'd be out and about somewhere and he'd make a surprise entrance into the world.
Yeah, he feels like he's going to surprise you and he'll be fine and everything. It's just, he's eager to get out. Not in a bad way, just like, I like life like that. He feels like a zesty child.
Okay, well, good, because Ruth was she was mellow, but it was really difficult for me to not have any kind of distance from her at all. Like you said, sleeping, nursing, wouldn't take a bottle, was like, which I felt like no one believed me, sort of, where I was like, I swear to God, she needs to eat from me and it's not going to work otherwise. And she'll scream for 7 hours until I get home.
Saw it with my own eyes.
I swear to you.
She felt rejected.
I swear.
Yeah, I believe you.
So it's like with this one, I keep hoping like, and sort of feeling like I will be able to have a little bit more space.
Okay, but so he's talking to you. So you can feel his vibe too. You know what I mean? Like he's a little bit more like, you can give me a bottle.
Well, I was like, I hope this isn't wishful thinking that he'll actually take a bottle and will like sleep on his own. But I hope, you know, it's hard to sometimes distinguish, is this just a desire or is this actually
like it's hard when it's you. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's hard to separate it. No, I think he's going to be a little bit more independent of a baby.
Good.
So that's good.
Exciting.
Good. Well, okay, our broads.
Yeah, Megan, before we let you go, we'd love we have our two broads. Bekah, I will text you their photos quick so you can see them as we're speaking.
Yes, I know. I want to see. I definitely want to see.
Jean Jacket Broad is Lauren. Lauren Simon Says. That's her Instagram handle. And then there's the short hair broad. Yeah. And her name is Telka.
Okay, so I'll start with Lauren, because Lauren has a very unique aura. We didn't even talk about it. She's turquoise. So
what? Lauren?
That's crazy. I know. My 5-year-old's turquoise, so I had to learn a lot about turquoises because it's such a rare aura color.
Jess, you picked such a good.
You did.
What a good picker.
She's not just your everyday purple, okay? She's a turquoise. She has purple too, but she's very, very turquoise. So I don't know anything about her, but she feels like a healer. That's the first thing I get. Like she absorbs very strong in other people's environments, which turquoises do. Like turquoises, they're kind of like, I call them the mirror, or like they're reflectors. Like if you look into a pond and you see a reflection of yourself, like they're that which holds the reflection for people. So the thing with this is why turquoises are so difficult to read sometimes, or to even for themselves to understand who they are. It's because they think they are who they are around a lot. So it's hard for them, even more than blues or indigos or anything. It's so hard for them to understand their identity because they hold the reflections of the people around them so much. But she feels like she's coming into herself, because I do get like her practicing something with healing. So I do get like a healing thing around her. And she's purple too, so she can lean on that. Like we talked about purples, but she's a softer purple, like a more pastel. So she doesn't feel like she's like, outwardly like woohoo or attention or this or that, like a lot of purples are. She feels more like a softer purple, like it's a lot in her head, like a lot of those inside thoughts. So that's Lauren. She's turquoise and purple, and she feels like an awesome person. She probably thinks she's yellow. Like if she followed me, she'd probably be like, I thought I was yellow, because I feel like the turquoise people will sometimes pick up attributes of yellow or green because they want to be organized, or they have scientific brains or things like that, like how they approach things. But yeah, healer. That's what I get from her.
What does she need to be careful of, or watch out for? With
the
herself?
Wrong people, like people who like toxic people for a turquoise, and she'll be attracted to them and she'll absorb their traits and act them out and stuff like that. And I see a lot of turquoises going into the healing fields, like therapy, even like acupuncture or Reiki or things like that, because they have this innate knowledge that they know they have to help people, and they observe their issues. Okay. But yeah, she has to be careful of owning toxic people's stuff. Like we all do, but like turquoise is like, they don't know that they're like becoming it. It's hard for them. It's like a mirror. And then Telka's cool. Telka's purple, but she's purple because she's a broad.
And Telka's Instagram handle is, and I don't know how to say this, but it's at the KIEDEGEN. Not
All
sure.
Right, cool. Well, she's got that like emerging purple thing going on, where it's like a sharper color. It's kind of like looking at neon purple, like if you looked at like a neon sign or something. That's what her purple looks like, which means I feel like she's had to fight for it. So I get some sort of, and she has blue, but she like kind of keeps it on her back burner. So I get like being vulnerable for her is something she shares for very close friends. So I get some sort of emerging into identity with her. Like she had to fight for who she is, and she feels very visual. Oh God. And then they give you a picture and there's like a guitar in the background. And I always say like, don't do that, because then people are like, you read my picture. You know what I mean? Like she does feel very visual, which I was gonna say like artistic, but then there's like a guitar. I just noticed. But anyways, but I feel like she had to fight for her purple, and meaning that people don't get her, and she had to understand it's okay. But what she has to watch out for is, I think it goes back to that blue, where like you're gonna feel other people's opinions about you, and it doesn't mean it's true. It just means it's their opinion about you, and you'll feel it, but agreeing with it is your choice. Okay. That's what I get from her. It feels like really deep, like really kind of deep stuff with her.
Oh, Telka.
Yeah. She's got like, I feel like she had to fight. She had to fight for who she is, like that, like an identity thing.
Well, Lauren and Telka, thank you for sending in your photos, and thank you for doing that, Megan. And Broads,
yes!
Listen, these two broads were able to get their auras read, but Megan, is there a way that our other broads who are so anxious to hear about you and listen to this episode, like how can they find you? Do you do readings regularly? Like give us all the tea that we can put in our episode notes so that our broads know how to contact you.
Well, you can find me at Mystic Michaela on Instagram and mysticmichaela.com. And I do readings. You can hop on the wait list, or you can check out my highlights. And I have a Facebook group too, where we kind of do fun stuff. And I have a podcast, Know Your Aura with Mystic Michaela.
Amazing.
So cool.
And I actually just checked out your podcast a couple days ago, and it's really good. So, Broads, you definitely should hop on that. Getting so much insight. This was so fun.
You guys.
Yeah, Megan, that was so fun. I loved it. Very insightful though, too.
I know.
Oh, good.
I'm just like, I have to be real with you. You know, we've had certain people on, and like definitely they were fantastic and got a lot, but I do have to be straight. I feel like you might have tapped in the most to both of us, where I'm like, oh damn, this is very accurate. I'm like walking away being like, oh shit, I can't wait to tell Evan all about this episode and make him listen.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, I just want people to love themselves the way they're seen by spirit.
I love
And
that.
maybe we'll have you call in on upcoming Bachelor season.
Oh,
be like,
please.
give us the tea
oh
on
my
this
God.
post-fantasy suite action.
I can't even handle it. I scream at the TV. It's so stressful, like with the colors. Anytime, I'm here for you.
Amazing. Thank you
Love
so
it.
much,
Well,
Megan.
Thank you so much, Megan.
You
All
take
right,
care, guys.
All right, broads, and we'll chat soon.
Chat soon.